The atmosphere of immobility has always ruled in Elmada. The inhabitants, with ease in the air, like birds, enjoy life, full harmony and joy. They walked in the air with incredible grace. Their bodies, light like guns, hardly touched the clouds that slowly flooded over the sky painted in pastel tones. Alex, a brave warrior, with the eyes of the color of the summer sky and a smile capable of breaking the ice, was always next to Eva, a girl whose beauty glowed brighter than all the stars of Elmada. Their love, which was born in childhood, was pure as the mountains and strong as the rocks of Elmada. On the planet Elmada, where the sky glowed with a berry fire and the air was swept by the smell of eternally green trees, incredible snow mountains broke down. Their heights, drowning in the smoke clouds, were as if they were trying to kiss the sky. These mountains were not cold and inaccessible. No, they radiated amazing heat, like the huge, white hearts of the planet. The mountains of Elmada, like silver stripes, flowed from the heights, drowned in the thick forests of trees with leaves flowing through all the flowers of the rabbit. The water in them was surprisingly warm, as if nature itself decided to give the inhabitants of the planet an eternal summer. The Elmadians, the beings with big, bright eyes, like stars in the night sky, and the smiles, warm like the sunlight, loved to spend time on these rings, in light boats made of bright material, resembling the frozen sunlight. They went on exciting trips. The boats slept over the water, like birds in the sky, thanks to the amazing strength of Elmada, the lack of gravity. The wind glowed the hair of the Elmadians, and the sunny rabbits played around, creating a fairy atmosphere. Elmada was a planet full of harmony and love. Its inhabitants lived in unity with nature, respecting its beauty and strength. Their culture is based on respect for life in all its manifestations, from the tiny lights that light the night sky to the magnificent mountains that go into the clouds. The history of Elmada is the history of infinite development and improvement. The Elmadians have always sought knowledge, understanding the world and their place in it. Their science developed in close connection with nature, which allowed them to create amazing technologies that didn't interfere, but vice versa, strengthened harmony with the environment. In every house on Elmada, you could find a garden where rare plants grew, radiating a calming aura. Music was an integral part of the life of the Elmadians. Its melodic sounds filled the air, creating an atmosphere of peace and joy. Every year on Elmada was held the Lighting Hand Holiday, during which ships were decorated with thousands of lighting, turning into true works of art. On that day, all the inhabitants gathered at the foot of the mountain, where the greatest lunch began, and launched their boats to the water, welcoming the beginning of the new season. Elmada was a planet of dreams, a place where love, harmony, and eternal holiday of life reigned. The inhabitants of Elmada were incredibly happy. They swim in transparent rivers and lakes whose water was so clean that it seemed to be seen the bottom in a huge depth. Along the shores grow wonderful flowers, filling the air with a sweet aroma. Sometimes, looking at the stars riding on the night sky of Elmada, they thought about other planets, about other inhabitants of the universe, and they hoped that somewhere far, in the depths of space, there were the same kind and fun beings that also love life and appreciate beauty. Eva, a girl with the eyes of stardust, whose tortuous mind was illuminated by curiosity about the surrounding world, spent her hours in her laboratory studying the holographic patterns of plants created by her brilliant mind. Luminescent flora filled the room with soft light and magical fragrances. Her laboratory, drowning in the green of luminous plants, was her favorite place in the world. The walls of the room decorated the holographic patterns of plants created by Ewa from alien seeds collected during her expeditions across the remote corners of Elmada. Each model, as if alive, pulsated with soft light, and the air was filled with magical flavors, a mixture of sweet vanilla, ozone freshness, and wood notes. Eva could spend hours on her research, losing in the world of molecular structures and bioluminescent reactions. In her laboratory, there was always a silence, breached only by the cliffs of the instruments and the shell of the leaves of the luminescent flora. But this silence was often broken by a decisive blow of the clink about the training model. Alex, the faithful friend of Eve and her defender, disguised the skill of possessing an energy sword. His skin flows metal glow under the rays of artificial lighting. Each muscle of his body was tensioned. Each fall was accurate and ambitious. Alex was ready to protect Eve from any danger, whether it is a hostage beast from the depths of Elmada or hostile alien races. He knew that Eva, enthusiastic about her research, did not always notice the danger. Therefore, he was always near, a shadow that protected her from evil forces. Sometimes, when Eva was tired of her experiments, Alex sat next to her and silently looked at the dancing holograms in the air. In the silence of their laboratory reigned the dialogue, the exchange of views, understanding and unlimited devotion. They were two sides of one medal. Eva is a curious soul seeking knowledge, and Alex is a faithful guardian protecting her from all dangers. Together they created harmony, the balance that was the foundation of their friendship and love. One day, Eva went to visit her little brother Kieran, who lived with her relatives in a neighboring village. The sun has already begun to clone to the horizon, painting the heavens of Elmada in bullshit tones. The birds, like small precious stones, flushed into the rays of the shell. The world seemed immeasurable, full of harmony and peace, but the idyllia was brutally broken. At first, it was just a strange noise that flows in the air, as if the space itself was breathing up. The inhabitants of Elmada raised their heads, trying to understand the source of sound, and then they saw them, black, like a night cloud, objects slowly descending from the sky. The heart of Eve, like all the inhabitants of the village, was melted in the chest. She strongly pressed the hand of her brother, the little Kieran, who looked at the sky with widely open eyes, full of horror. The boats of the strangers were enormous, similar to terrible monsters riding in heaven. From their black wombs, the rays of evil light broke out, illuminating the earth with a frightening violet shade. Eva saw a rainbow falling on the field behind the villages, turning everything living into ash. The panic caught Elma. The inhabitants fled, cried, trying to save themselves from the inevitable. Eve caught Kieran for his hand and pulled him toward the forest, where, according to rumors, the old bunker was hidden. But there were destroyers everywhere, burning houses, ships broken down, the bodies of the wounded. In the chest of Eve grew despair. She didn't know where to go, what to do. The only thing she wanted was to protect Kieran, to protect him from the horror that was happening around. Suddenly the ground under the legs shrinked. An enormous black vessel landed straight to the outskirts of the village, and a rainbow directed to them broke out from its pasture. Eva dropped up, hiding Kieran with her body. She closed her eyes waiting for death. But death has not come. When she opened her eyes, she saw the lightning past and the ship had already climbed to the sky. They just disappeared from his attention. But long, Eva hugged the little Kieran strongly, and his fragile body dropped in her hands. Her heart was so bite that it seemed to jump out of her chest. The wicked shadows of the black ship still flooded in the sky, reminding the nightmare that collapsed on their world. "We have to go," she screamed, her voice drowned from fear and despair. Kieran, small, fragile, but so courageous, just tightened, pressing her hand in the hand. She knew it was just the beginning of a long, dangerous struggle for survival. They had to go to the laboratory, to Alex. He, the beloved, smart, strong Alex, remained there to defend their last refuge. He can protect them. But how? The question was hanging in the air, pressing the soul of Eva with a heavy burden. There was an unknown thing ahead, full of danger and fear. Every blow of the wind made her heart beating even faster. They could not fly. Black ships patrolled the sky, Their wicked radars could find them at any time. They had to walk on foot, hiding in the shadows, in density of vegetation, avoiding the post of the enemy. "Don't be afraid, Kieran," she screamed to her brother, trying to believe her words. "We will manage." But she didn't even believe herself. Fear, cold and silent, compressed her, making her doubt in everything. Love for Kieran, love for Alec, love for her planet, for her heavens, for her flowers, is the only thing that gave her the strength to fight. She imagined the face of Alec, his good eyes, full of care and love. She knew that he was waiting for them, that he believed in them. And this light, this faith, helped her to move forward, walk through fear, through darkness, to the only chance of salvation. The heart of Alex wrapped in his chest, like a hunted beast. Black ships, like hostage birds, descended on Elmada. The shadow wings covered the sun, covering the world into evil darkness. The explosion, the fire column rising to the sky, was a sign of the beginning of the invasion. Without a moment of thinking, Alex dropped into the battle. His energy soared, like a living, exploded with a blue flame, scattering the enemies into parts. But with every victory, the fear increasingly shrinked his heart. Where is Eva, his beloved, her fragile shoulders, her laughter, which always warmed his soul? All of this seemed so far and inaccessible. There were terrible paintings in the head, monsters throwing soft hands, poisoning bright eyes. No, he will not allow it. He must find it, protect it at any price. But now his sword was occupied, withdrawing from the attacks of monstrous creatures flushing out of ships. Their bodies, shattered from darkness and hatred, were murdered by evil, and their eyes were burned by cold fire. Alex fought desperately. Every blow of his sword was filled with the love and care he would like to give to Eve. Meanwhile, Eva and Kieran, her younger brother, fled to the laboratory, trying to prevent the upcoming darkness. Her heart was stumbled from fear. She saw ships destroy everything on her way. She heard the screams of falling friends. She felt the smell of smoke and blood. The laboratory was the last chance. Here, among the Elmada plants that Eva knew as her 5 fingers, it was possible to create a shield capable of reflecting the attacks of monsters. Kieran, bleak and drunken, helped her to gather the bright flags, connect them into complex patterns. The hands of Eva worked automatically, and her mind was focused on one goal: to protect Elmada, to protect everything that was expensive to her heart. She felt Alex's presence somewhere near, as if he was part of the planet's energy itself. He fought for them, and she couldn't deceive him. But the time passed, and the monsters approached. Eva prayed to all the gods of Elmada that her shield might stand up, that Alex may remain alive, that the nightmare may ever end. But in the depths of her soul she knew that everything could be too late, that the forces were unequal. The captors, exceeding the inhabitants of Elmada in the number and strength of weapons, broke closer to the heart of the planet. Alex, wounded but not broken, continued to fight, defending the planet, and Eva, who tried to find a way to stop the monsters. In her laboratory, among dying plants and holographic models, Eva found the answer. She reminded of ancient legends about the Heart of Elmada, crystals with incredible energy. If you activate them, you can create a powerful energy impulse capable of destroying enemies. Eve's heart was shaken from anxiety. The laboratory, typically filled with calming plants and the promise of new discoveries, seemed cold and empty today. She found the answer: the ancient legends of the Heart of Elmada, the crystals capable of saving their world. But the way to them was dangerous, blocked by monsters, and Alex was so weak. She saw his bright face on the screen. She heard a crazy cough when he was trying to speak. Every breath, every moment, seemed to take his last strength. Nevertheless, in his eyes, Eve saw the same glimpse, the same irresistible determination as in his heart. "I believe in you," she screamed, activating the communicator, sending Alex the crystal coordinates. Her voice drowned, but the words were firm, full of hope, which she so wanted to see in the eyes of Alex. She looked at the shining screen, waiting for the answer, praying for him to hear her. Every second was dragged by eternity, filled with anxious doubts. What if he can't? What if the monsters are stronger? Suddenly the screen burned. The face of Alex, tired but determined, appeared on the screen. "I'm going to do that, Eve," he screamed, and in his voice sounded the same love that gave them strength. Eva breathed out, relief mixed with excitement. She knew that Alex would not leave her, but fear for him did not leave her. She looked at the screen, watching his movement through a series of monsters. Every movement, every sword, filled her with hope and fear at the same time. And suddenly, the light, a bright explosion blinded her. Elmada was enlightened by a crystal light, the monsters rejected and defeated. Eva closed her eyes, praying for Alex to be alive, so that he would return to her. When she opened her eyes again, Alex stood before her, wounded but alive. In his eyes glowed love, and in his hands he kept crystals. She fell to him, hugging him strongly, feeling his heart breaking. Elma was saved, but Eva couldn't get rid of anxiety. What will be next? Will the monsters come back? Can they restore the world destroyed by war? Alex looked at her, understandingly pressing her hand. "We're going to do it, Eva," he said quietly. Together, but in his voice, in the depths of his eyes, Eve saw a shadow of doubt. She knew that the struggle just started. Elma has changed. The screams from the attack of monsters, deep and bloody, still covered its surface. The cities were in ruins, the forests were burned up, and the air was smelled by smoke. But Elmada lived, breathed thanks to the crystal, the powerful artifacts that Alec, a brave warrior, activated at the most critical moment of the battle. Eva was solidly observing the restoration of the native planet. Her laboratory, once full of light and innovation, was now re-equipped under the Victims' Aid Center. Eva knew that the victory over the monsters was just the beginning. The Heart of Elmada, she screamed, looking at the crystal, which pulsated with a soft blue light. "His strength is enormous, but we don't know all his secrets yet." Alex, tired but determined, stood next to her. "We must be ready for everything," he said. "The monsters can return. We need to understand what brought them to Elmada, and how to prevent such a tragedy from repeating." Eve has dropped. She knew that ancient legends about the heart of the planet were not just fairy tales. They talked about a powerful force capable of defending Elmada, but also destroying it. "May it be," she screamed. "Will we use its strength not only to protect it, but also to heal it?" She began to study the crystal, to analyze its structure, trying to understand how it interacts with the planet. Her research led to a brilliant discovery. The crystal was not just a source of energy. It was a living organism closely linked to Elmada. He felt the pain of the planet, its suffering, and responded to them. "We need to find a way to help him," said Eva Alika. "He's wounded, exhausted by battle." Alex agreed. Together they went on a journey through the destroyed lands, collecting pieces of ancient artifacts that, as legend believed, could help restore the heart of the planet. Their path was full of dangers, but love and faith in Elmada gave them strength. Slowly Eve began to realize that monsters were not just aggressive beings. They were victims distorted by some dark force. They were trying to get access to the heart, said Eva Alex, to use it for its purposes. This thought scared, but also gave hope. If monsters were under someone's control, then it was possible to find the source of this power and stop it. The journey of Eve and Alex led them to the abandoned temple, where they found ancient sketches telling about Elmada's heart and how to protect it. The suites talked about the shadow mind, a powerful being that was fed by the energy of the heart and sought to work the planet. Only by uniting the efforts of all the inhabitants of Elmada, it was possible to defeat the shadow mind and save the heart of the planet. Eva and Alex returned to their city to share their knowledge and call people for unity. There was a long and dangerous struggle ahead, but Eva and Alex were ready for it. They believed in Elmada, believed in the power of the heart and in their love that could overcome any darkness. Thank you for watching this video. Write comments, what thoughts and reflections you have after listening to the story. Put likes and subscribe to the channel. Welcome.